Peace, family. Peace, family. First off, peace to all, my returning subscribers, the family. Peace to all the new subscribers that are just now viewing the video. If you landed here on accident, just know it was not an accident. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. I'm just blessed to be here. Of course, another day. Blessed to see the people. Blessed to have another week as far as so that I may use this week to expand my consciousness and just speed up my growth that I already have. So with that being said, very interesting week we didn't see start already. Of course, the other day, like I spoke in my last video, like the eclipse was gonna happen and certain things will be brought to light. And as we see, I don't know if everyone's seen, but Ja Morant and things like this, like revealing itself. And there's plenty more things that will reveal. I mean, to most people, they're gonna look at the Ja Morant incident and kind of get blinded by that one topic. But a person like me, I see something like that go viral, and me personally, I went on to the NY post and stuff like that, and I just try to see what message is being hidden. Whenever you see something go big and viral out of nowhere, then just know that there are other things going on in the world that are more hidden, or that are more not to the forefront. And I mean, once I looked on there, it was a lot of news circulating. Some stuff grabbed my attention, some stuff didn't. It just was like, it's a lot of stuff going on in the world continuously, and like the most important stuff not getting talked about. Like, if we took as much energy as we do worrying about NBA players and all that, who not doing it for us at the end of the day, versus things that do actually affect our life, we'll have a whole different life right now. Like, if people put as much energy into screen recording these bills that's getting signed that we don't know nothing about, that our money is going to, our actual dollars is going to, then it'll be a whole different world. It's just all about what you give your attention to. If you give your attention to nonsense, you're gonna continue to get nonsense, and you ain't gonna have 9 cents at the end of the day because you not paying attention to the right stuff. But with that being said, like, not trying to get too, I don't even be worried about that stuff too much, honestly. But what I did want to talk about today was just knowing, I know that we know history. We took, I don't know how many years of history, but then it's just like the history that we've been told, And I just finished reading the Hermes book. It's a Hermes book, but it's about Herodotus and his writings of the Hermes book. Basically, I feel like after reading, my own perception on the book, it's just like, I ain't gonna say it's some unanswered questions, but it brought me to realization a lot more. Like, some of the biggest names that we have these days came from, even our language. They say it came from the Greeks. It's always coming from this certain time period. Like, a lot of the words that we use these days, and that should make a person wonder, like, let me go study where we get most of our words from. At least that's just me personally. Like, most of our best words, they say, came from the Greek civilization. So I mean, why not go research the Greek civilization? I mean, by default, and see what they did to make themselves become such a a commodity that we would want to actually mimic some of their teachings and mimic some of their words, because we know that nobody like to really give. The United States don't give credit to no one unless it benefits them at the end of the day. And like I said, after reading up on that and everything, it definitely brought me to realization that it's just like a whole lot of misconstrued history. Like a lot of misconstrued history. Because just like a lot of the lounges, let's say downtown Houston, it's one of my favorite lounges. It's called what used to be called Seaside. Now they changed the name to Standard, but it's the same place. It's the same. It's in the same spot, the same place, and everything like that. The only thing that changed was the name. And somebody new here will come and not even know that it was a such thing as the old name even existed. So as far as they know, it's always been called Standard. It was never called Seaside. And if you say Seaside to them, they're not gonna know what you're talking about. And that's just an example of just basically our history. Like, it's just the only thing that has changed is a lot of the names of these countries that just have changed over time. Languages change. You know, the lingo changed. Like, everything just kind of changed, but it still be the same places. Because when I was reading when I was finishing up the book, you know, the final couple of chapters, basically, if you watch the movie 300, it kind of gives you a very, very, very broad example of the book, because it doesn't go into depth about what the Persians was doing the whole time, because you just get a certain perspective of just the Athenians and the Spartans, who are like the main characters of the movie. But in doing that, they actually leave in the movie 300, they actually leave out a lot of the valuable information. And some of the information to me was that I seen as valuable that we didn't know of was that there were actually women fighting in the Athenian on the Greek side in the war against the Persians. There were leaders, and there were majestic things happening that they don't depict inside the movie. Certain wars that they won was because of certain events that happened, and they just was just on the right side of nature, you know. I know definitely one war that they fought, like I said, it was a female fighting in that war. And also during that war, it was like they kept talking about the God-like people, like God-like people. And if you think about God-like, you think of things that human man can't do. It's something that they were doing that was never seen before. So with that being said, certain powers and certain deities was helping fight this war, because they knew that, you know, in doing that, it would help, you know, kickstart their future and things like that. Because just like California was named after a goddess, I just have found out, I kind of ain't gonna lie, I did just find out about that was the place Athenian, the last name was Nike. And then what's one of the biggest shoe brands that we know of today? Nike. And it's just like I said, we get a lot of our stuff from that Greek civilization, and that's because it's one and the same. They might say that it's separated, certain things separated, but it can be a certain perspective or a false truth to us that there was a separation. Like, we could say we separated from a lot of stuff, but then you might, you know, go back to it and use it. And did you ever really separate if you still needing it, and if you still having to rely on it in some way? Are you truly separated from that thing? I feel like no, but I mean, you can have your own opinion for sure. You know, that's your right. But there were also females fighting on the Persian side. It was actually, even up in the movie, the 300, the second chapter, like the second movie, however you want to look at it. It was that the female leader who was on Xerxes' side, and yeah, she was fighting in the war. So even back then, we had male and females fighting in wars, and it's just like, it's still like that to this day. But I mean, it ain't no it ain't no females on the front line like how it was. Like back then, it was females on the front line. Like I said, Xerxes, the female who was on Xerxes' side, the Persian side, she was one of the leaders, one of the head leaders that he actually felt like she was more, I don't want to say manly, but she was more, I guess, masculine than the men who, and he didn't respect none of the men. Like Xerxes, he didn't respect none of the men. He felt like none of them was worthy of being, you know, at the top. But he did see, he had a even though they said he was like more of a feminine man at the end of the day, which even in the movie they kind of depict, in 300 they kind of depict him as like, you know, he didn't look like just the manliest man of them all. You know, he just seemed like he was pretty chill and things like that. Like, definitely didn't seem like he was like the Spartans at all. Like, and that was like two different. The Persians, they was a rich, they were a rich civilization, but it's just like anything. Like, when you've been in power too long, you're gonna become comfortable with your position. You're gonna become too content with where you are to where you're not gonna be having that warrior spirit. And with the Spartans and the Greeks, they had a different kind of system set up. The Persians were under the rulership of autocracy, which is basically like a king or, you know, one leader. And the Greeks were under like something like how the United States kind of under like a democracy. Like, you can actually rise up in your civilization and become, you know, one of the leaders. You could become one of the political people, just like how we have in this civilization. And like I said, the Persians had a different way of viewing things, and it's just like sometimes those small differences can make a huge difference. Because if you think about it, if your people of your civilization know that there is a place where they can go where nobody's going to be ruled over them, they gonna flock to that place at mass numbers. And even though Xerxes had, you know, the power of the whip and everything, trying to forcefully make people listen to him, you gonna forever have people trying to run away from your system if they feel like they only under one type of leadership, one type of guidance. So that's why he didn't like the Greeks at all. That was one reason why I feel like he didn't, well, not I feel, but I think that he did not like the he didn't like the Greeks at all. And basically, even during the war, he told the Spartans and stuff, they told, you know, one of the representatives of Xerxes, they told him, they was like, you never going to win a war because your people, they fight for a different reason. Like, they fighting so they won't get, you know, beaten by you, versus on our side, our people fighting because they want to fight. They fighting with all their spirit. They fighting with a different type of, because if you just fearing somebody, you can fear somebody else too. But if you have no fear and you fighting for the right reasons, nothing gonna be able to stop you. Like, nothing, basically. And it's just like that type of mindset, that type of way of looking at the world, instead of having to wait on somebody, just, you know, moving on your own, moving at the own beat of your own drum, not having to not letting anyone else tell you where to put your energy and where to put your attention. You know, that's too much power over you, you know, at the end of the day. And yeah, like I said, after reading that, even at the end, they didn't truly destroy Xerxes. They just kind of gave him his own spot to do his deeds. They're like, we're gonna give you some land over here and like just stay out the way, basically. They didn't completely destroy his whole legacy and destroy his whole plan, because that's not what type of people they were anyway. They were only defending when you're only defending what you personally want, you don't feel a need to go out there and do too much, because you're only defending your own honor. Once you're not, because the only reason they even fought was because, and they didn't want to fight in the first place, but the only reason they did fight was because Xerxes then was going to be trying to take over their whole infrastructure and everything like that. Because Greece had different, Greek was it was a place, but they was all in one place, but they all was separated. Like each, let's say the Spartans and the Athenians and all of them, they wasn't really one until the war came, and then they like, all right, let's join together to, you know, up our numbers, because everyone knew that Xerxes had the biggest, grandest army in the whole world at the time. But numbers they matter, but at the end of the day, it's about how much heart you got, because numbers can be, you know, numbers can be manipulated. It's just a number at the end of the day, but you can't put a number on heart. Like one person, even one of my people who I actually listen to, Dr. B. Serious, he even says that one person vibrating at a certain hertz, it's like 300,000 people. One person is equal to 300,000 people vibrating at the same. You know, if this one person vibrating at this certain rate, he equal to like 300,000 people. You know, and it's just like, with knowing that, you can kind of figure out how 300 people was able to take down so many people in that fight, because they was fighting for a whole different cause, a whole different reason that the people on the other side wasn't fighting for. If you just out there fighting, just walking, you ain't trained too much in your life, because that's not what type of people that the person who are anyway. They was really, when you under this certain, even if your leader has to give you a certain type of guidance in order to be the best. Like even Xerxes, like how can he lead a grand amount of people when he wasn't that type of person, and you know, in the first place, versus the other, you know, like the Greeks and stuff. They actually have grand leaders who rose up from kids to adults, fighting their whole life. Like that's what they like to do. And then him leading somebody versus somebody who really haven't fought that much, trying to lead the whole. You can have as many people as you want to, but if they're not under the right leadership, the right guidance, they're gonna be just as weak as their king or their leader. So that was the difference between the two sides, and that's why the Greeks ended up on top. And to this day, you know, they still reside, they still have that footprint in our civilization, because that's just how grand their fight was. And there really hasn't been a fight like that. But what I just want the family to understand is that, like they say, history just continues to repeat itself. And once you understand, you literally can pick which one you want to study, but it's still gonna have a lot to do with what we're going through right now, because it's literally just repeating itself. Like, there was a war over which way is the correct way to rule, which way is the correct way to do things. And that's the same reason that we having wars these days. They might say it's over all these grand reasons, but sometimes it just come down to politics. Like, nobody really know what reason that they don't like each other at the end of the day. Like, they could be mad at each other because one person spilled some coffee on their white carpet. Like, for all we know, like, we don't really know why they be fighting at the end of the day. Sometimes somebody could just wake up, just like Xerxes did, let me go invade this place, even though he had kind of some hints in his mind from his forefathers and stuff like that. It's still his choice to go invade these places, and he felt that their way of living threatened his way of guiding his people. So of course you're going to have to go over there and continue to spread and continue to do your thing. If another nation contradicts yours, it's going to automatically bring warfare, just by that way of odds. But yeah, I definitely recommend the family, like I said, pick the timeline that you want, pick the time period, but don't really worry about the numbers and all that, because even how they depict it, they make you feel like Egypt was just this civilization that was, active a long time ago, but they was active at the same time as the Greeks. So why they make us feel like the Egyptians was just a civilization that was thousands of years old and we don't know how they did it, what was going on? Like, why y'all acting like that when y'all know that the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Indians, all of them was all at the same time, and they tell you that right there in the book. Like, all these civilizations was going on at the same time. Why they make it feel like it was such a great separation between the civilizations when they was ruling? That's like going back in history and only saying that the United States was going on right now, when you know that it was the United States, China, Africa, it was all these places, but they're just like saying that we was ruling at different times, but knowing that we was all here at the same time. Just like how we have all these different cultures right now. We got India, we got all these places, and you just eliminate all the places saying, oh, the United States ruled for this long, China ruled for this long, they ruled for this long. No, they all here at the same time, like ruling at the same time. Just standing in their own lanes at the end of the day. Unless like two nations want to conflict with each other, then that's when, you know, they actually merge them together. But other than that, they was acting like it was a separation between these time periods, which is not true. But like I said, I would recommend people go do their own research. As I said in the past, you know, go and do your own research, your own reading, and come back and let me know how you feel about all this, to be honest, because you might be just as mind blown as I am. Because there was a lot of magic going on. There was a lot of things that still can't be explained from a certain perspective that was going on. Big dust cloud showing up out of nowhere. Like, where did dust cloud come from? Like, they was fighting a war, and then out of nowhere, a big dust cloud just helped the Greeks actually win the certain, you know, pivotal wars that actually were, if they lost, on the other hand, would have changed history in its own. Like, just imagine if the Greeks didn't win against the Persians. Like, who knows what kind of world we're in right now, you know? It's just like things like that I like looking at and just like getting my own understanding. AC on, it's getting hot up in here. It was raining earlier, but that rain going away now. It's just humid as heck. Like, Houston is so crazy like that. It could be rainy, seem like it's a tropical storm. Next minute we got clear skies, and it's a pretty wild city, ain't gonna lie. But yeah, with that being said, family, I just definitely did want to dive into, you know, that I did want to dive into that topic, because, you know, I am finished with that, you know, that book, but then I do want to do a deeper dive into the that lesson and that era and that perspective that I did see, like, because the world gonna look way different when you understand how it works more. I feel like we don't really understand how the world be working as a mass of people, and that's why people are so lost. Because if you don't know what happened yesterday, how you gonna know what to do tomorrow? You know, let's just say somebody somebody could have just been born today and never been through a pandemic or anything like that, versus somebody who been here for a minute. You done seen things. You can actually pick up new information, and you're gonna be moving way different than somebody who didn't go through these certain situations. Same thing with knowledge. You're gonna be moving way different once you know certain knowledge and certain topics. And I kind of want to go into like helping people as far as like being able to preserve their wealth and, you know, save their money, I guess I'm gonna say. Because, you know, me personally, I feel like, well, I know that I have a certain perspective on life that a lot of people don't have, and that was given to me through people telling me, I think, different certain situations I've been through, just being around people, like things like this, just letting me know that I'm different and I have a certain perspective that is different from your typical person. And, you know, I just like to challenge what we think, challenge the way that our mind, you know, works, helping people think outside the box and things like that. Because once you know the truth, you're gonna automatically look like you thinking outside the box, but you just simply living in truth. Like, and that's all it simply is. But yeah, with that being said, family, you know, definitely have to come back to y'all with that, because I just finished it up, and it's just like, you know, I like to just give my perspectives. So, you know, to the people who love to hear what I have to say, you know, and just help them with their understanding, of course. But yeah, with that being said, family, I'm gonna slide out. You know, it was definitely a great lesson. I probably will be back with more information on this specific, because it actually intrigued me, like this Persian War, this Great War that happened. It was kind of like a world war, but, you know, before they called it that, you know, because that's just like a United States time. But there's been plenty of world wars that happened. Like I just explained, this one, Greece versus the Persians. It was a great war that happened that could have changed the whole timeline up, and changed the way that we are today, honestly. But yeah, with that being said, family, peace to all my loyal subscribers, peace to all the new subscribers. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, continue to show love, new people, just do what y'all been doing. Like, we've been growing for sure, so I ain't in no rush. We all moving on God's time at the end of the day. So as long as you see progression in your life, just be thankful about that, because there's people who never see progression. They've been doing certain things years on years on years, and they still didn't get that recognition. So just be appreciative if you are receiving some type of recognition. Just be thankful and continue to do what you're doing, and it's gonna end up where it's supposed to be. But yeah, with that being said, peace to all my loyal subscribers, peace to all the new ones. Thank you to all the guardian angels, spirit guides, and ancestors. Peace to the planet. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Till next time.